Hey, 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 happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by thegaminggang.com. Tonight is Wednesday, February 2nd, 2022. This is live stream 748. Your first time joining me, let me point out, start off the show, we just hang out, talk about the latest in tabletop gaming news. Super casual. We are not performing rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. And then the second half of the show is devoted to taking a look at a tabletop game. Tonight, it is a Wargames Wednesday, which I know there are going to be folks pleased about that, because it's been a little more than a month since we had a War Game Wednesday, and we are taking a look at a big one tonight. Yes, we're going to unbox and take a first look at Conquest and Consequence from GMT Games, and this is a hefty box as well that we're going to be diving on into. But of course, first, we are going to talk about the latest in tabletop gaming news. But before I do, let me remind you, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It will not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings right here on YouTube at 8 p.m. Central. 8 p.m. Central. It's 7 p.m. Central. Cracking up. I'm looking at live stream 7:48. I'm looking at that 8, and I'm like, yeah, 8 o'clock Central. 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. But if you subscribe, you'll not only know when the stream goes live, you'll also know when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming review of Haunted West from Darker Hue Studios. That's right. This monster tome, yes, 800 plus pages of Weird West role-playing. I will tell you what I think this weekend. Stay tuned. Keep your eyes peeled for that video. I've got a lot of videos hitting because I had to sit there and twiddle my thumbs when the laptop was off for repair. So now I finally am able to do all of my graphics and everything else for the videos, and we're all good. Okay, so strangely enough, I am not seeing anybody in chat yet, which is a little unusual. So what I am going to do here, because every once in a while, I will stream and it is not showing up the chat. Oh, there we go. Ha ha! We do have a couple of people popping in. It's funny. I said, wow, it's weird. Nobody's in chat yet. And I'm going to go look to see if the stream is actually streaming, because on occasion, it has not. There's been a few times where it's like, oh, hey, I'm 15 minutes into the show. People are sitting there going, wow, what's going on? When is the show going to start? And it happens every once in a while. Yeah, every once in a while, YouTube likes to change my stream key on me without actually informing me that the stream key has been changed. So it's like, thanks a lot. All right, so we do have some folks popping up into chat. First off was Giga Shadmesh. Says they love my stuff. Thank you. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. John Vogel's with us. Yeah, John knew it was a War Game Wednesday, so, John's been waiting. Grumbling Grillion is with us as well, or as some folks like to pronounce that word, Grognard. It's not the correct pronunciation, but that's okay. Coco B is lurking. Nice. Sarah D is hanging out. Callahan Klatt is with us. So Sarah says she's teaching folks how to lurk. Okay. Well, Sarah doesn't necessarily lurk because she will comment from time to time. So that's, she's a semi-lurker. Or a demi-lurker. There you go. So if Sarah's watching, then we have to assume that the famed Mr. Eddie T. I almost said Fast Eddie. That actually sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Fast Eddie T. The Mr. Eddie T is probably hanging around watching as well. Sweet. All right, cool. So we do have chat off and running. So that is a good deal. Also wanted to mention that if you finish watching videos on the channel, don't forget, swing on over to thegaminggang.com for the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And of course, talking about chat, it's a live stream. That means chat's available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. Also, you have to be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours to take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, or maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. Doug Roberts is with us. Helga Ratbone is in chat as well. Russell Higgins and Flaming Huron, who is one of our chat moderators, by the way. So behave. Don't make Flaming Huron bust out that band hammer. I'd do it once. Doing this live stream for 3 years now? I don't know. 748 live streams. That's all I can tell you. So it's about 3 years. I think we've had to throw somebody out once. My mother hung me up on a meat hook once. Roll for Combat is with us as well. So chat is off and running. For a minute, I was like, hey, nobody's in chat. Is this stream actually going out live? And now we've got quite a few people hanging out in chat. Very nice, very nice. So let's jump on into the news because I've got a good mix tonight. First off, there's a light bluffing card game, which is up for crowdfunding over on Kickstarter. It's from Vigour Games. Here's the skinny on monsters and the things that destroy them. Say that 5 times fast. A memory and bluffing game featuring monster cards from classic literature, plus some modern ones like Hunk Vampire and Teen Wolf, and the neutralizer cards that can destroy them. Each monster has an ability, such as triggering the top card of your discard pile. You don't play cards from your hand. You take cards from a 4-card pool and trigger the card as you take it. At the end of the game, players discard down to their best 2 cards. Neutralizers then destroy their corresponding monsters, and the player with the best surviving combination of cards wins. So the goal is to end the game with the highest combined point total between your final 2 cards. You're going to start off by shuffling all cards and dealing 4 face up into the center row, known as the pool. Hey, we're just hanging at the pool. Monsters at the pool. All right. Maybe it's like beach blanket bingo going on. Well, no, that'd be at the beach, not at the pool. And 1 face down into each player's personal discard pile. At any time, players may look at, but not rearrange, their discard pile. Choose a random start player to begin. On each player's turn, you'll draw a card from the pool, say its name and number aloud, and trigger or resolve its primary ability. If another card gets triggered, reveal it and resolve it. Fill the pool back to 4 from the face down deck. At the end of your turn, if you exceed your hand limit of 3 cards, you're going to discard excess cards face down to your discard pile. When the draw deck's empty, continue taking turns until everyone has had an equal number of turns. Then resolution will begin. Neutralizer cards do nothing when drawn or triggered. Instead, they're used during resolution. Most neutralizers negate the points granted by 2 specific monsters in any player's hands. Neutralizers are not monsters. Their points can't be negated. In the resolution phase, all players discard to just 2 cards in turn order, I should say. Each player dramatically reveals their highest number card. When they reveal their other card, then you resolve all the neutralizers. Player with the highest total score wins the game. If there's a tie, the tied player with the highest value surviving monster is the winner. There is a short Kickstarter video from Vigour Games. Give you a little better look at monsters and the things that destroy them. So kick back and take a peek.
These are monsters. And these are the things that destroy them. Each turn, you'll take a card of your choice from the pool. If it's a monster, it wakes up and you get a cool ability. If it's a thing, then it gives fewer points at the end, but it can destroy 2 of the monsters in the game. Your goal is to end the game with the strongest combo of 2 cards. If you have the biggest monsters, or if you trick your opponent into playing the monsters that you can destroy, you win. Monsters and the things that destroy them.
Monsters and the Things That Destroy Them is past the 200% funding mark, and you can reserve a copy of the core game for a $15 pledge through February 17th. There are a couple of different, they're not necessarily editions or versions, but they have different monsters. So you can also get the limited edition as well. It includes both. Strangely enough, what I think is pretty wild is delivery of this Kickstarter project is set for March. Yep, the Kickstarter runs through February 17th, and delivery will be in March. So my understanding is, I believe Vigour Games was planning on launching a different Kickstarter, but they didn't have it right. They didn't have it ready yet, and this is actually, I think, already off at the printer. So they were like, oh, okay, let's do a Kickstarter for this. I like the art. The artwork looks kind of fun. This is probably a fun little game to hang out and play with the kids. Yeah, with the family. I think it's, I believe it's, if I remember correctly, I think it's 2 to 4 players, ages like 10 and up, plays in about 10 to 15 minutes or so. So nice little wind up, wind down game. Kabuki Kid is in chat. Mr. Eddie T has said hello as well. I thought I saw, oh, so Sarah says Eddie, Mr. Eddie T's nickname in high school was Fast Eddie. You know, for some strange reason, that tends to be kind of the nickname for people named Ed, especially if they go by like Eddie. Now, I've got a good friend from high school who I'm still, friends with, who's out in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he hated Eddie. I think only his parents called him Eddie. So there was no Fast Eddie there. So Callahan Klatt says this video reminds them of an idea they had some time ago. A deck of cards for dungeon masters with various ideas and special abilities. And you could generate a monster on the fly. So Russell says they don't see the ex-wife in the list of monsters. No, that's probably in the third release that's on the horizon. Ex-husbands, ex-girlfriends, ex-wives, ex-boyfriends. Sure, all of that is in there. Moving on to the next news piece. Agents of Smersh is getting a new edition. It's called the Epic Edition. It's coming from Everything Epic Games this March. Here's the skinny. In Agents of Smersh Epic Edition, the most epic narrative storytelling game of all time, 1 to 4 players take on the role of elite government spies traveling the world in search of Dr. Lobo and his henchmen on an epic mission to bring them down. Players use their many advanced skills, top secret spy gear, and their allies to help them survive and find Lobo in the field. You'll use a simple dice mechanic to resolve encounters that occur as you traverse exotic locations on every continent. Epic Edition takes Agents of Smersh to a whole new level by focusing on the most epic part of the game, the story, while giving the graphic design a fresh new look, making the visual aesthetic more modern. We have updated the gameplay by streamlining some of its old school mechanics to provide a more focused, engaging experience. Where you travel on the map now will provide you with possible bonuses and upgrades and thousands of unique encounters based on location. Changing how intel works, instead of collecting intel to win, you collect it to find Lobo's henchmen and eventually, with time, find Dr. Lobo. Each henchman and Dr. Lobo each have their own entire choose-your-own-adventure-like story and encounters as well. Defeat all of Lobo's henchmen in your game, and you'll have an advantage against Lobo in the end game. Did you defeat Lobo? Are you sure? In the Epic Edition of Smersh, there's more Dr. Lobos than just the one, you know. Something strange is going on in the world. You thought there was only one Dr. Lobo. Agents of Smersh Epic Edition is for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays around 90 to 120 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $129.99 when it arrives in March. That's sporting a pretty hefty MSRP. I do understand there's a lot of stuff in it. This was a very successful Kickstarter for Everything Epic. Here's the other thing. I'm not too keen on the use of Smersh because Smersh was a real agency that the Soviets ran during World War II. And yes, I know they're in James Bond books and movies, but totally different Smersh. In fact, Ian Fleming was very inaccurate as far as Smersh itself, but Smersh was a real spy agency, and they did off a lot of people, a lot of Russians. So, yeah, there was that. So Kabuki Kid points out, yeah, Smersh was real, but also used in Bond. Yeah, I get it. I don't know. Like you said, I'm not a huge fan of Smersh being used as, like, you know, board game themes. Someone else joined us in chat, says, at least it's not the NKVD. Yep. Agents of the NKVD, the board game, coming soon. Hey, there's another Kickstarter I want to talk about. It is for a standalone expansion to the third-party Mjörkberg fueled miniatures game Forbidden Psalm. It's live. It's from Kevin Raman and Exalted Funeral. Here's the dope on The Last War. Forbidden Psalm, The Last War is a standalone tabletop miniatures game and RPG setting inspired by and fully compatible with the Mjörkberg, otherwise known as Mörkborg, tabletop role-playing game and other Forbidden Psalm miniatures games. Set in a world torn apart by war, War. War never changes. It includes all new monsters, a campaign, random tables, and everything you'll need to play. There's a short video, doesn't really show you much, but then again, I got to be honest, the Kickstarter doesn't show you a whole lot either. But let's take a second. It's about a minute long, a little more than a minute, and give that a peek. It's got kind of creepy music, though. I will tell you that. So kick back, give it a watch.
Though many tales of black eyes and broken window panes come to raise ears as the years go by, that he is having vision, the world is waiting for the sunrise.
The Kickstarter project is over 200% funded. You can score a digital copy of Forbidden Psalm: The Last War for a $13 pledge, or grab the soft cover for a $25 pledge through March 3rd. Expected delivery of the PDF is going to be in April, with the physical book to follow in September. There are a lot of people who just absolutely love Mjölnir, and there are a lot of people out there who can't stand it. Damn you, art punk. Okay, so here's the thing. Yeah, and I know nothing about Forbidden Psalm, except that it's already got like another expansion, I think. And it's through Exalted Funeral, and Exalted Funeral doesn't produce crap, so you got that going for it. Here's the thing that I think is the problem that a lot of people have with Mjölnir. And it's not with the core game itself, because the core game itself is a game. Of course, yes, I know it's kind of an art project at the same time, but it is a game. It is a legitimate game. I think the issue that a lot of people are having is there's so much stuff coming out that is presented as an adventure for you to buy on like Drive-Thru RPG, and all it is somebody's art project. It's not really a gameable adventure, and I think people are getting really pissed off because there's a lot of shit out there for Mjölnir. And I thought there was some sort of like quality control going on with it. As far as the third parties, I don't know. I don't know, but it's funny because the Mjölnir's starting to get kind of a crappy reputation because of the lousy adventures that are being produced by third party companies. So once again, not saying anything about Forbidden Psalm. Don't know anything about it. It's, for one, it's a skirmish miniatures game. It is not a role-playing adventure, although it is a setting that can be used as well. All right, on to some role-playing game news, because now available in print and PDF from Rookie Jet Studio is the Red Giant role-playing game. Here's what I know. Red Giant is a tabletop role-playing game influenced by, but not limited to, anime and manga such as Vampire Hunter D, Berserk, and Claymore. Red Giant aims to recreate the various themes, dynamics, and scenarios seen in these types of media. Red Giant is very adaptable and can be used in a myriad of ways to suit your tabletop game, as the core of this system provides many tools for use in creating your own customized session. No one knows how the Red Giant came to be. Some people believe it was an act of God. Some believe it was due to ancient technology. But no matter how this planet became cursed, it's clear that you cannot save this world. Stories passed down through the ages all describe in detail a day long ago when the sun suddenly grew and became consumed in a blood red color. As the people stared at the sky, a crimson haze slowly crept across the surface of the planet. It's been said that this was the beginning of what was known as the end of the world, or the rapture, by the people of that time. From this day forward, humanity and the world they knew were forever changed. Horrific beings and aberrations began to rise, seemingly from the soil itself. Beings of absolute terror and structure. Oh, okay. I was like, wow, that word's not, that sentence wasn't coming across right. But it is put together, right? Beings of absolute terror and structures the human mind cannot comprehend appeared from nothingness. It was not long before humanity was ultimately driven to the edge of extinction, facing these impossible threats. People now eke out a small existence through the lands, attempting to avoid or defeat the horrors and creatures that have awakened from the planet in order to survive. But for what? And at what cost? The 116-page hardcover of Red Giant is available over at Drive-Thru RPG for $34.99. You can grab the PDF for $14.99. If you are fans of grim, dark sort of settings, this might be something you want to take a peek at. I like the art style. The art style is kind of cool looking. I kind of get the impression now, I might be completely wrong, but I kind of get the impression this is kind of a rules light sort of system as well. Maybe, I don't know if it's powered by the apocalypse, but I kind of get the vibe that it is a rules light sort of game system. So Callahan says, yeah, they bought the PDF for this some time ago. They really like the method for character creation, especially the exchanges and archetypes. Yeah, this had a pretty successful Kickstarter. So it did, the Kickstarter did pretty well for Rookie Jet Studio. On to my final news piece. The free quick start for the upcoming Homeworld Revelations role-playing game has arrived from Modiphius Entertainment. And why am I getting Church of Steel popping up here? All right, so that is super, super weird. Okay. All right, man, this is super bizarre because I ported over all the files today. And I know damn well that I had the news piece for Homeworld Revelations. Not Cubicle 7. We just had this news piece yesterday. All right, okay. So on Monday's show, I will share the news for the free quick start for Homeworld Revelations, which is available from Modiphius Entertainment. It's over at Drive-Thru RPG, 68 pages, absolutely free. Give you an idea of how the 2D20 system has been adapted for the Homeworld system. So kind of cool. Flaming Heron says laptop gremlins took care of it when I got it back. Yeah, really, it's totally bizarre because I sat there, took care of all the news pieces today, then ported them on over. I don't know what's going on. Very, very strange. So that is the news for tonight. Shy one news piece. But I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG, please swing by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. All those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. I have had people ask, well, Jeff, what if I want to go over to Dungeon Masters Guild or Storyteller's Vault? I don't see banner ads for them on the Gaming Gang website. On occasion, you will. You'll see them every once in a while. But if that's the case, click on the banner ad that goes to Drive-Thru RPG, and then from there, go to the site that you want to go to. If you notice on the right side, you'll have little banners for all the various other one bookshelf sites, like Drive-Thru Cards and Drive-Thru Comics and DM's Guild, so on and so forth. If you do that, it'll still register as my affiliate code. So just to let you know. Giga Chad Mesh says they noticed my PayPal link in the description wasn't working for them, but it works if they type it in themselves. That's bizarre. It's very weird. Speaking of PayPal, yeah, that's a nice segue, right? If you like this video, if you like the Gaming Gang channel, if you dig what I do, if you just like thegaminggang.com, you can always stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang, and you can buy me a cup of coffee or some soda. And people do that from time to time. It's much appreciated. In fact, the Motor City Madman made a very nice donation very recently. Much appreciated that as well. Sweet. All right. As I had already pointed out earlier in the show, we are going to be unboxing, taking a first look at Conquest and Consequence from GMT Games in just a moment, right after a very quick intermission.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Yes. I know I am going to end up having to mute that from this video. Otherwise, I am going to get a copyright strike. But we were talking about that yesterday. And of course, I had to share that. Just had to share it. Bring back those drive-through memories. Although I got to be honest, there's a whole series of those little cartoons. They're actually not very easy to track down in good quality. The YouTube ones that I've seen are just, some of them are really awful. But the thing is, those were not created for drive-ins. They were created for actual theaters. We kind of talked about this a little bit on yesterday's show. You know, big theaters and that. I mean, back in the day, before I was around, going to the theater, going to see a movie, I mean, there were some amazingly beautiful theaters. And it was supposed to be a big experience. And, you know, nowadays it's just like, yeah, whatever, going to multiplex. Bleh. 17 screens, man. There's like 40 seats in this theater. Bleh. And it's kind of funny. I'm of the age that when I was old enough, when I was in high school, I'd be going to the movies, you know, with my friends. There were some of the older theaters still they were just gorgeous. But I mean, they were getting run down because, you know, it was the multiplex. They were all showing up. Flaming Heron says they remember the song, but they don't remember ever seeing any video of it, like any film of it at the theater. Yeah, I never saw something like that at the theater. It was only at drive-ins that we would see that. But yeah, it's kind of funny because you're at the drive-in. There really isn't a lobby. But yes, just bringing back some fun memories. Okay, as mentioned before, we're taking a look at Conquest and Consequence from GMT Games. I swear I am going to get the title of this game wrong at some point. It's designed by Craig Besinque with artwork provided by Charlie Kibler and Carlos Oliveras. Games for 2 or 3 players. It's actually really designed for 3. For ages 14 and up, plays around 4 to 6 hours. Conquest and Consequence is available right now and does carry an MSRP of $115. Mr. Eddie T says years ago they went to an older theater that still had an organ player to make music for the movie. I went to a theater years and years ago too, and some of the theaters still had pianos. They didn't have anybody there to play the piano, but some of them still had pianos off to the side. And I went and I saw the silent film Napoleon. And that actually had, it was a small orchestra that was actually accompanying the film. But I saw a movie, I think they were silent films I saw. And there actually was a pianist who was there playing the piano as the films played. It was pretty wild. All right, let's move on over to the other camera because here I've got Conquest and Consequence. So as I pointed out yesterday, today, this is a hefty box. This is a pretty heavy box here. Not the heaviest. It's not as heavy as some of like the Commands and Colors boxes are, because those are just loaded down with wooden blocks. But I believe we've got blocks in this as well. So if you got blocks in this, it also means we're going to be stickering blocks, which can be a real trip. Conquest and Consequence is a 3-player geopolitical strategy game that brings the triumph and tragedy system to the Pacific East Asia theater during the same 1936 to 45 time period. The games are designed to be joinable. As in TNT, the 3 rival socio-political systems seek regional hegemony through diplomatic, economic, technological, and military means. So we have Japan, the USA, and, we've got the Allies, because it's the USA, British Empire, and the nationalist government in China. And then we have the Communist Soviet Union. So those are our 3 factions. All right, I'm going to take the shrink wrap off of this. We enjoyed Triumph and Tragedy. A very unique, a very different sort of game. It has been a long, long time since I played. I got to be honest, I haven't played it since doing the review, and I actually ended up I don't have it anymore. I got it into a good home where it was going to get played because I knew it was not something that was going to get returned to the table a lot. So we've got a playbook. Sweet. I always talk about how much I really dig the GMT playbook. So we'll look at that second. Even though, as I always point out, when I'm learning a GMT game, I always read the playbook first and then go to the rule book. So here we've got the rule book. We've got a bunch of counters in that. So let's take a look at the rule book here. So it looks like we're clocking in at about 27 pages of rules. So the game is adaptable to 2 players. So there must be a bot system somehow. And I'm not sure if the bot system can be utilized for any of the three factions or if it's a specific faction. But it does say that it's adaptable to 2 players there. So we get our sequence of play, talking about the map, the nations, the great powers, Japan, Russia, and the U.S., and British Empire are the great powers. Talking about units. So we've got different blocks for the units. And we're going to have different labels for them and different colors as well. So the Soviets actually have Russia and Red China. So we've got both of those. Talking about unit types. So we have the Japanese Air Force, U.S. carriers, U.S. subs, U.S. fleet, Marines, Japanese infantry, Russian tanks. We've got action cards as well to help drive the action in the game. It's talking about production and enlistment. So there's a government phase. We've got diplomacy, technology, seasons, movement, combat. So we've got carriers versus fleets, marine and militia combat, priority, targeting, and 3-way battles, carrier and convoy damage, Air Force retreats, sea invasion retreats, submarine escapes. This is not a gateway war game by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know. I didn't stop to take a peek to see what complexity level GMT rates this. But I say it all the time that I think GMT rates things a little bit lower than I would rate it. It's usually about a point. So a lot of times when I see like a 5, I'm like, nah, it's more a 6. 6 is more a 7. So then we got a section about China, the Chinese Civil War, partisans. I noticed that we also have these sections, these in the sidebars, discussing aspects of the game as well. That's something a little different. We don't see that a lot in GMT rule presentations. Kind of cool. I'm not sure how well it's going to help as far as learning the game, but does break things up a bit. There's a little more visual pizzazz. Although I have to say that GMT Games rules always look good. Sometimes they could have used another once over or twice over, but they do look good. They never look confusing or anything like that. Okay, so then we've got designer notes as well. And then we've got a glossary and an index on the back. Then we're going to have a playbook. And the playbook is no doubt going to give us some more information about the background, I would assume, regarding the design. And, of course, an extended example of play. That is the biggest deal with the playbooks, is normally the example of play is not just a couple of pages. It is in depth. And like I said before, I tend to read the playbook first. And I find it really does help as far as learning how to play the game. This is basically starting in 1936. Going through that turn. So we're going through the entire year. So then it goes through the government phase of 1937 and then jumps to 41, the summer of 41. As it looks like looks as if it's a relatively historical setup here with War in the Pacific. Wow, the whole playbook is an extended, example of play. That's cool. I have no issue with that. So we've got 30 pages devoted to explaining how the game plays out. Sweet. Very nice. Okay, so we also have some counter sheets, some punch boards. So I'll give you a better peek at these. So we have peace dividends. These look like control markers for the most part. We've got some declaration of war. It's like specific events, possibly. Sea invasions, battles, blockades. And of course, dual-sided. We have a pad of sheets here. It's a record for scoring. A game record. So going through 36 to 45. You can see here. Turn order. And quite a few sheets. Only one-sided, though. But, of course, anybody worth their salt is going to take a sheet, scan it, so they have it for future printing it out. Okay, so we've got the stickers for the blocks. So we've got a couple of sticker sheets. So that's not too bad compared to all the sticker sheets that come with, like, say, the commands and colors. Okay, so we've got player aids for each of the factions. So Japan. Taking a guess, the U.S. Or maybe not. Yeah, these are all, oh, there we go. It says USA, player aid. So the Allies, essentially. And then the Soviets and the Communist Chinese for their player aid. So one for each faction here. We've got a mounted board. Take a look at that in a moment. Here's all the blocks. Plenty of them. So normally what I'll do is if I'm stickering blocks, I'll just start binge watching something that I hopefully don't have to pay too much attention to, because you really got to focus on making sure you get those stickers on here straight. So lots and lots of these. So these blocks and the mounted board are what are adding, all that weight to the box. Got 4 dice, 6-sided dice here. Got a bit of an insert. A couple of decks of cards. All right, so we'll take a look at the mounted board, which appears to be a pretty good size. And then we'll take a look at the decks of cards. And I say it all the time. When you're taking these mounted boards out of the plastic bag, be careful, because it's very easy to catch one of the edges and tear it. I speak from experience. So, all right. Taking a look at this section of the board here. Guam, Rabaul, Guadalcanal, New Caledonia, Fiji. Actually, the board is not huge. It's not as big as I thought it was going to be. So we get into the, well, I mean, it is a good size. I mean, so I'm going to unfold some more of it. So we've got an investment deck. So there's a track for Japan, track for the USA over here. Combat tables. And then here's the other end of the board. So we've got, that's kind of cool. Everybody has this little chart here. Whoops. There you go. Now you can see it. Everybody's got that chart facing them. So we've got the Soviet players going to face this way. Japanese players off this way. And then the Allied U.S. and British player is going to sit down here. So all in all, it is 2 panels high and 4 panels wide. It has a cool look to it. It does have a cool look to the presentation of the map. So that is, I'm digging that. I like that. Okay, so then we've got the different decks of cards. And I know one of the decks of cards is an investment deck. Should have a technology deck of cards as well. Or technology cards. Okay, these all have the same backing. Decent card stock. Seems a little flimsier than usual. It might be my imagination. But there is a bit of a finish on the card too. So get this open also. So they all have the same backing, but we've got different kinds of cards in here. These are technology. Like I said, it's been so long since I played TNT, Triumph and Tragedy. Okay, so here we've got espionage. So just to give you a peek at some of the cards here. The cards serve multiple purposes. So we got air defense radar. We also have incendiaries. Got a factory 2. Got land reform. So here we've got guerrilla warfare, autocannon, anti-aircraft, incendiaries again, factory 2. Factory 1, land reform, or 38. Wow. The way that color just not super easy to make out. 1938 wild card 4. And it says it's a wild card. So as you can see, you've got different uses on these cards. Trying to remember how the investment worked. Well, I'll be looking through this soon enough. Heavy bombers, factory 3, propaganda. 1940 science, wild card for air defense, radar, autocannon, anti-aircraft, dive bombing, atomic research 2, naval radar, and incendiaries. Got blackmail, steal any rival diplomacy card in play and play it for yourself or discard. Factory 4, propaganda. So we have these various cards there. And then with this deck, we have Spring Command. So if I remember right, I think you have to play specific cards to go on like an offensive. Intimidation, nationalism. Inner Mongolia. So we've got Spring Command. Got Summer Command. And then as you can see, we've got fewer cards for like Fall Command. And that is it. There is no Winter Command. Which is kind of unusual because it is mainly the Pacific. So it's not like there's a lot of snow or anything like that. Right, so those are the two decks of cards. So we've got a bunch of wooden blocks that we're going to sticker, as well as the Conquest and Consequence card deck. We also have the player aids for each of the factions. A couple of sticker sheets for those blocks. A pad of game record sheets. And a punch board and a half of informational counters. We've got the playbook and the rules of play. And that's what we find when we take everything from Conquest and Consequence outside the box. This is available right now from GMT Games. As I point out all the time, if you have any interest whatsoever in any of the GMT games that you see me taking a peek at, either doing first looks or reviews, don't sit around and wait to pick it up, because GMT does not produce huge print runs. So if there's a game that you see and you're like, oh, hey, that looks pretty interesting, buy it. You don't want to end up having to pick it up through the secondary market and be paying 2, 3, or sometimes more times the original MSRP. Once again, Conquest and Consequence is for 2 or 3 players. It's really designed for 3 players. Ages 14 and up, plays around 4 to 6 hours, and carries an MSRP of $115 even. Sweet. Very cool. I will do my best to get a review of this out. Like I said, right now with the pandemic, it has just been past 2 years. It's just been really tough to not only get board games played. That's not that difficult. It's the war games that are kind of difficult for me to get to the table enough times to review it. I don't do reviews just on a single play. So we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. All right. That is it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. Yes, 7 p.m. Central. because I can't tell time anymore. If you were watching early on. Yeah, come to watch the show at 8 p.m. Central. It's like, no, it's not when I stream it. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. I will also have my review of Dungeons and Dragons Original Adventures Reincarnated Volume 2, The Isle of Dread, up later on this week. So don't miss that as well. It seems like the old school for the New Year celebration went very well. We had good amount of traffic and good number of people checking out the videos. So, of course, the old school renaissance isn't going to end. I'm going to continue sharing OSR games. And, of course, I've got plenty of stuff that I'm reviewing. But we were kind of just focused on, role-playing games for the month of January. From here on out, be a little bit different. I'll be tackling more board games as per usual. All right, everybody enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, whatever day afternoon it might be where you're at. I will be back on Monday. I think on Monday, probably going to take a look at something from Pathfinder. Not sure exactly what yet, but I think we're going to take a look at a new Pathfinder release. Follow me on Twitter. I always tell you ahead of time what's cooking. Anyway, those of you who watch live, thank you very much. Always appreciate that. If you were taking part in chat, hey, you got extra experience points for that. It's a bonus. Be leveling up soon. But of course, I know a lot of people out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch the stream live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very, very much for taking time out of your busy life to watch any of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel. All right, everybody enjoy the rest of your week and the weekend. I'll see you on Monday. And of course, as always, here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang. See you Monday. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. Check out the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, or find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching.